Okay. Good afternoon, welcome to VANIK-IAS. We'll discuss current affairs of 22nd March. So, we'll discuss main topics. One is related to your water crisis, right? Water stress is going on. Why? What are the reasons and what are the repercussions? Presently, population is increasing, urbanization is increasing, industrialization is increasing, sanitation is increasing, and all these reasons, because of all these reasons, our water uses is also increasing. However, there is another thing is that global warming is increasing. That's why that there is deterioration of the publicly available water in ponds, right? Water ponds or water bodies, their level is decreasing. Another thing is that there is also climate change. So there is change in rainfall pattern. In some areas we see drought as well. Drought has increased in certain areas. Although in certain areas there is also increase in floods. So water crisis is seen in many cities at present time, especially as urbanization increases. That affects the groundwater level, right? When high population, huge amount of population, they concentrate in a particular area. For example, in Delhi, obviously huge amount of population, there is high density of population. In such a situation, groundwater extraction will increase, right? And when groundwater extraction increases, the level of groundwater decreases. Or if there is an industry, in case of industry, they also extract groundwater in huge amount. So in a particular area, we see water crisis. So there are various reasons, that is urbanization, industrialization, and also sanitation facilities are also increasing, right? And people are not using water in an efficient way. Many times we see that they misuse water. In some states there is also free electricity, right? When free electricities are provided, then what happens? The farmers, they overuse water in agricultural fields, right? So misuse of water happens even anything free is available. So because of various reasons we see water crisis. So now it's a question is, water stress causes deterioration of freshwater resources in terms of quantity as well as quality. Suggest steps to overcome stress in the country. That is water stress. It causes deterioration. First thing, what is water stress? You have to various part. You have to divide the answer question in various part. Water stress. First, you have to explain what are the water stress. Next, how it is affecting the quantity and how it is affecting the quality. Then, what are the steps? In these 4 parts, we will discuss the questions, right? First part, what is water stress? It occurs when demand of water exceeds the available amount. Demand of water exceeds the available amount, right? Huge amount of demanded as compared to the supply. During a certain period, maybe it is during summer, it's not always, but at certain time, maybe in summer, or when poor quality restricts its use. When per capita availability of water is below 1700 meter cube per year, water availability is termed as stressed. It's a definition of stressed water, right? When water availability is less than 1700 meter cube per year, we will say that this can be called as stressed water. So demand for water exceeds, at any point of time, if demand for water exceeds than the supply, then we can call it as water is stressed, right? Then we will see how water stress, what is the severity of water stress by various facts and figures, right? First, water stress causes deterioration of freshwater resources in terms of quantity as quality. How? We will see how it in terms of quantity and quality. India has 4% of world's freshwater. Remember, this is very important statistics. India has 4% of world's freshwater, which has to cater 17% of world's population. Here is the mismatch, right? Whenever you write a such question, you have to write the statistics, because that will, whenever you write a problem, suppose you are writing a answer regarding poverty, then you have to mention by statistics that what is the level of poverty, how many people are there in so far as poverty is concerned, how many people is there so far as malnutrition is concerned, right? So in such a question, when you are expressing a problem of the society, then you must mention the exact statistics. Here the most important statistics is that India has 4% of world's fresh water, 4% of world's fresh water, but population is 17%. So here is a mismatch of around 13% of water, and that lead to shortage of water in certain areas. Then approximately 600 million people or roughly around 45% of population in India is facing high to severe water stress, right? Around 45% of the population of India is facing severe water stress, especially in rural areas, in certain areas, for example in Maharashtra, in the Deccan areas, and obviously in the Rajasthan areas of Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh. These areas or many rural areas also where there is no facilities of government so far as water tank or water supply is concerned, those people suffer water stress the most. Okay. As per the report, 21 Indian cities will run out of their main source of water, groundwater, by 2021 and 2020. So around 21 cities are already run out of water or facing the water crisis, and they have to, they are going for new sources of groundwater, or they are facing groundwater crisis. Nearly 40% of population will have to absolutely no access to drinking water by 2030, and 6% of India's GDP will be lost by 2050 due to the water crisis, right? 40% of population will have to suffer no access to drinking water. They will suffer the problem of drinking water by 2030. This is a speculation, and it is a fact by our study that 40% of people will face the problem of water crisis by 2030, and 6% of India's GDP will be lost. The economic cost will be 6% of GDP by 2050 due to the water crisis. As per Niti Aayog report released in 2019, India is facing worst ever water crisis in the history. Why? Because obviously urbanization is increasing, industrialization is getting increasing, water usage is getting increasing. Earlier there was no such appliances. Now we have various appliances. You have to wash your car, you have to wash your bike. We have increasing number of appliances. We have to use water in various, or in gardening is also increasing. All these things require more and more water. Agriculture practices is increasing. Area covered by agriculture is also increasing. Agriculture productivity is increasing. So all these things requires water, and that creates water stress. Next, a disaster water crisis have been creeping off on for years. Water tables have been declined precipitously, even by thousands of feet in some parts of Punjab, Haryana, Andhra Pradesh. Tanks and wells have gone dry. So in certain areas, Punjab, Haryana and Andhra Pradesh, also in Madhya Pradesh, also in Maharashtra, certain areas where they face the problem of water crisis. In Delhi also, huge amount of it is seen that huge amount of water is drained from the groundwater, and groundwater level is very low. Some rivers have shrunk, while other smaller ones have completely dried off. Some rivers has also lost their water level. If you have marked before 15 years or 20 years, the level of rivers, the level of water in various rivers that are priorly existing, now it has declined, right? So you may ask in your parents or in households that the river level, the water level in rivers is also declined in this last decade. Water rationing is routine in many urban areas, while many villages women are trudging long distances to fetch water. Many times you have been seen such type of images in newspapers or in various websites or social media that various women are they are facing the water crisis and going a long distance for drinking water. Such types of problems are even exist today in various rural areas, and there are some areas where there is water crisis, like your Deccan, like your Telangana, like your Andhra Pradesh, like your Madhya Pradesh, some regions of Madhya Pradesh and Maharashtra. Not only farmers are affected by the water crisis, urban dwellers, cities, towns across the India also feeling never seen before the drinking water scarcity. Yes, drinking water scarcity, it's a problem of many urban areas like Delhi. Many times in Delhi also you will see such problems, right? So water crisis exists everywhere. Next, India. In India, there are conflicts between Karnataka and Tamil Nadu over sharing of Kaveri waters, between Gujarat and Madhya Pradesh over sharing of Narmada waters, between Andhra Pradesh and Telangana over sharing of Krishna waters. So this water sharing issue is a big issue between various interstates. It's a big interstate issue, that is water sharing, because there is scarcity of water, right? The supply is not according to the demand, right? Demand is huge as compared to supply. That's why water wars. It is said that in the next war will be water war, and it has already started. We see various conflicts between various states so far as water sharing of a particular river is concerned. Also with Pakistan, also we have signed Indus Water Treaty with Pakistan, and many times it is said that we should keep our water, we should use our water, because there is water crisis, right? Next, measures to overcome water stress. So we have discussed the quality of water and how it is, quantity of water, how it is declining in various states and cities. We have already discussed that there is a lag of 13% of demand. 4% of people and 17%. We have 17% of world population and 4% of world's groundwater resources. So there is a mismatch of 13%. So around 2030, 45% of population will face severe water crisis. So this is a issue. Next, what are the measures that can we take to reduce this water stress? Seeing India's looming water crisis through the locus of urban and rural not only allows a better grasp of the causative factors but also enables stronger grip on the strategies to be deployed to the reverse water crisis. What can be done? First thing is that urban water resource management. This is most important in urban areas. Groundwater management is utmost importance in urban areas where 50% of water is drawn from ground. 50% of water is drawn from ground in urban areas. Example, encroachment of floodplains, groundwater reserves are areas to work with. This is the problem. These floodplains, there should not be any establishment or development of infrastructure in floodplains, because that hampers this enrichment of groundwater. Loss of green cover. This is one of the biggest problem. Loss of green cover around the rivers, right? Suppose this is a river, and here earlier there was various green cover. They were holding huge amount of water, right? So most of the amount of water is not going to the sea, that are absorbed by the rivers. But now what happens by the trees? Now because of deforestation, trees are not there, and water levels in various rivers are declining. There is a movement, Kaveri movement, right? What is Kaveri movement? That calling of Kaveri, that is plantation of huge amount plantation of near the banks of Kaveri. Why? Because to restore the ground, restore the water flow in Kaveri river, right? Kaveri calling by Sadhguru, that was launched. That was a mission. That is to improve the green cover in the areas of fasting in urban areas, heat island, and also in river banks. Then depleting water resources. Urban forests need to be recreated like RA and Mumbai. Recreated, right? RA in Mumbai, it's an example. Urban forest in a particular area, we can develop the huge amount of trees, so that they will hold the groundwater, right? They will hold the groundwater, so that water availability will be proper. The Ministry of Water Resources must reconfigure its relationship with other ministries and departments, urban development, local self-government and environment, right. So here it is saying that we should go for sustainable development. If you are allocating industry in a particular area, you must also ensure that whether water is available or not. If water is not available in that particular area, we can recommend for some another area, right. So we have to think about the usage of water in urban areas while giving permission to various establishment, or deforestation. Many times what happens, the river banks are new type of establishments developed in the river banks, right. Those are critical areas. There you should not develop the buildings, or various infrastructure should not be developed in those areas. So giving permissions to those areas should also be restricted. This is what, so Ministry of Water Resources, they must reconsider its relationship with other ministries. They should not give permission, right. Then enhanced integration and coordination are needed through effective land and water zoning regulations. There is an example. Many Andhra Pradesh state was acquiring or giving permission for development of infrastructure in a particular. There was a water land, and that are called as wetlands, right? Wetlands. In some critical areas like wetlands, wetlands, they are huge reservoirs. They help in storage of water, huge amount of water they can help in storage. They protect the groundwater levels. But what happens? Various state governments giving the permission for development of various infrastructure in these wetlands by destroying the biodiversity, by destroying the environment. Such type of activities, at that time it was restricted by the Supreme Court, right? At that time Supreme Court restricted it. So, but various such type of activities are done by various governments in India, and ultimately resulted to water crisis. Okay. So enhanced integration and coordination are needed through effective land and water zoning. Enhanced integration and coordination between various ministries, and through effective land and water zoning regulations that protect urban water bodies, groundwater sources, wetlands and green cover. See, you have to protect the urban water bodies, groundwater sources, wetlands and green cover, while simultaneously working to enhance wastewater recycling. Waste to water, we have to again recycle those water, because huge amount of water every day they are released by the drains to the rivers, and ultimately that goes to the ocean. From ocean we do not have that much of technology that's economically feasible to take the ocean water and recycle it. That's why we have to recycle the used water that are already used in urban areas. So recycling of wastewater is the key. And another thing is, we must protect our water bodies, that is development of ponds or small scale water bodies or wetlands. They are very important. And green cover, right? Trees are important. So afforestation needs to be targeted. Targeting aquifers, wherever there are aquifers or small water bodies, wells, through rainwater harvesting. Rainwater harvesting is also one more, it is another way by which we can avoid this water crisis that is developing in various urban areas. Okay. Next, rural water resource management. So as rural area is concerned, it is decentralized, right? So how can we manage rural water resource? First is water and food security. At the sectoral level, ministries and departments of water resources must coordinate efforts to the counterparts in agriculture, environment and rural development in greater convergence to achieve water and food security. Agriculture and the environment and rural development, these need to be focused. Along with development agriculture, we need to promote sustainable agriculture, or those crops which are less water intensive crops. Because in India there is a problem of agricultural mismatch. There is lack of awareness among the farmers, right? So what happens, farmers many times, even if there is scarcity of water, they cultivate rice, which is very water intensive, or sugarcane, very water intensive. So in those areas where there is water crisis, we should change our agricultural pattern, right? So our agriculture uses of water, they need to be sustainable. So we can use high yield varieties or different genetically modified varieties by biotechnology, so that less water can be consumed by the agriculture. So agriculture must be sustainable. Next, whole of government approach. At the disciplinary level, government and management should be increasingly interact and draw from expertise of the field such as hydrology, watershed sustainability, and hydrogeology, aquifer mapping and recharge, and agricultural sciences, water sensitive crop choices and soil health. This is already we have discussed, water sensitive soil crop choices and soil health. This need to be preserved. And watershed management, sustainability. How can we promote water, water resources, water bodies or ponds or wetlands, and hydrogen aquifer mapping, right? Where we can establish such type of ponds. We have Manrega also. We have Manrega scheme that may be used by various government entities. They may come forward and they can create such type of infrastructure. For example, developing canal system, right? Developing canal system. Though extra water during the rainwater, that can be channelized through a canal, right? And that can be irrigation can be developed in a particular area. That is one way. Or you can use Manrega schemes. Manrega people, those who want laborers, and these things are already done. They are doing it, but still the problem is not solved. So by Manrega also you can create huge water aquifers or ponds where we can use the rainwater, we can store the rainwaters, right? So during the rainy seasons, huge amount of water they may be stored. That's one thing. Then surface water management. Again, importance given to the groundwater conservation should be not ignored. Surface water conservation, including the many rivers and lakes which are critical and dying state due to encroachment, pollution, over obstruction and obstruction of water flow by dams. Obstruction of water flow by dams, over obstruction and encroachment. This is a big problem. Various water bodies like various lakes, they are suffering from encroachment, right? Encroachment means by development of various infrastructure near them that are very, and pollution. Pollution also increases. For example, plastic pollution. If there is an area and that is sealed by plastics, what will happen? Groundwater recharge will not be possible. So what will happen? That will go to the drain, and when it goes to drain, that will go to the rivers and directly they will go to the ocean. So what happened in that particular area? Groundwater recharge is not possible, right? Because that is because of pollution, especially in urban areas, right? Huge infrastructure, unsustainable infrastructure. So what happens? So even if there is raining during the rainy season, that do not perlocate to the ground, because everywhere we have concrete or everywhere we have solid infrastructure. So there is no areas where these groundwater, the water will go to the ground. They goes to the drain, which is of cement or concrete. They become wastewater, and they went to the rivers, and directly through rivers they went to the oceans. But ultimately groundwater is not recharged during the rainy season. That is the problem of urbanization. So this need to be also focused. Findings: effective land and water zoning regulations would protect urban water bodies, groundwater source and wetland and green cover. Effective land and water zoning. Yes, we must identify where, in which region we see the problem the most. In some regions water crisis is most. They need to be addressed at first, right? Accordingly we must prioritize, and accordingly we must announce the budgetary announcement. Enhance water recycling, yes, and water recharge activities, targeting aquifers and wells. Governance management should be increasingly interact and draw from expertise. It's already discussed. We have next topic is related to nanotechnology. Nanotechnology. What is nanotechnology? Nanotechnology is It is science of materials and molecular and subatomic level. Science of material at molecular and subatomic level. 1 nanometer means 10 to the power minus 9 meter. That means 100 core, 1 out of 100 crore. 1 piece out of 100 crores, that is nanometer, right? So producing various goods at nanoscale, observation of their behavior, utilization of those materials is called as nanotechnology. So it is the science of materials at a molecular or subatomic level. Involves manipulation of particles smaller than 100 nanometers. 1 nanometer is 1 billion of a meter. And the technology involves developing materials and devices. Right? You can develop materials and devices within that size, invisible to the human eye, and often many hundred times thinner than the width of human hair. For example, at present, suppose you have a door through which sound is passing there, but the door which will be made up of nanotechnology, that will be completely sound free, right? There will be no gaps, it will be completely sound free, and every manufacturing things that will be completely perfect. Suppose you have a water bottle, there is chances that there will be flow of water or in any circumstances, but when it is made up of nanotechnology, it will be perfect because the measurements will be taken at nano level. Or storing noble hydrogens. Hydrogen cannot be stored in air form, but that can be stored by application of nanotechnology. So this is production of various goods and devices by measuring at nano level. Physics and chemistry of materials are radically different when reduced to nanoscale. Another thing is that the behavior of material, the color of materials, they changes, or the nature of a particular material changes when we study them at nano level. For example, gold particle, a gold molecule at nano level, maybe it will not be, its color will not be yellow or gold color, it may be something different, it may be black or any other color. So even the color of a particular matter also changes. So behavior of a particular matter at nano level changes. Next, physics and chemistry of materials are radically different and reduced to nanoscales. They have different strength, conductivity, reactivity, and exploiting this could be revolutionize the medicine. So their nature is completely different at nanoscale. Okay, how it can be effective in nanoscale? See, at present times we don't lack technology we don't lack the diagnosis to kill cancers, right? But the problem is that when cancer cells are killed, they also affect the whole body. It has reaction in the whole body. That is the problem, right? Where we are able to kill cancer by chemotherapy, but that is affecting the whole body. So our treatment is not limited to only those areas. So, but now in nanotechnology, this problem is going to be solved, and this treatment will be very localized. Other parts of the body will not be affected. Diagnosis and screening. There is an urgent need in the developing of the world for better disease diagnosis. Nanotechnology and offers a multitude of options for the detecting disease. Multitude of options for detecting disease. Urgent need of developing world for better disease diagnosis. Right? So far as nanotechnology is concerned, just by breathing also, by analyzing the breathing, because various particles are released in our breathing system. With the nanotechnology, by application of nanotechnology, they can detect what exactly the disease is. See, in medical science, diagnosis is one of the major problem, right? When you go to a district medical hospital or there is a localized local doctor, they may not identify what exactly disease you are suffering from. They will try, okay, go and try this medicine, if it cures, otherwise come to me if any problem happens. But the problem is that the difference between a good doctor and a bad doctor is that diagnosis, identify a particular disease, and that disease can be better identified by application of nanotechnology just by observing our breaths as well. If there is one acetone in your breath, then you are fine. If there are 2 acetones out of millions of particles, then you are suffering from diabetes. So that can be that to at this level diagnosis can be done by nanotechnology. Example, fluorescent quantum dots could improve malaria diagnosis by targeting blood cells inner membrane. Okay, malaria diagnosis can be identified by nanotechnology. Next, carbon nanotubes and other nanoparticles such as nanowires have been used for biosensors to detect diseases. Nanoparticles, they can be used to detect diseases like HIV and cancer. Cancer biosensors can be made, for instance, by attaching nucleic acid probes to the end of nanowires. So simply you can write that nanowires and nanotubes, they can be used by application of nanotechnology, and they can be identified. Drug delivery, this is the biggest application of nanotechnology. Drug delivery, that means drugs will go to that particular area and will be used. Nanotechnology could also revolutionize the drug delivery by overcoming the challenges to sustain the release of drugs in the body and improving the bioavailability, the amounts of active ingredient per dose, right? That means how much exactly. The problem with drug is that drug resistance develops. We do not know how much exactly the chemicals or the medicines we actually need. Many times we consume more than that, or many times we consume less than that. In both cases, when you consume less than that, you are not getting cured. When you consume more than that lead to drug resistance, which is one of the biggest problem of world's health system. So in such a situation, understanding the exact need of the amount of drug is the biggest challenge, and that problem can be solved by nanotechnology, and that amount of particular drug will be used in that particular area where it is needed, not in other areas. This is the most significant application of nanotechnology. Some drugs can also be delivered through nano vehicles, that is nanotubes. They are also called nano vehicles. That means in our body, in a particular area, that drug will go there and it will be used there. That is nano vehicle. For example, liposomes, which can deliver drug payload by fusing with cell membranes, have been used to encapsulate HIV drugs such as stabudin and zidovudin, and in vehicles ranging from 120 to 200 nanometers in size. So in various, they are used in various diseases like HIV, and at nanoscale, at very small scale, wherever there is needed, they will exactly go there and they will work. Nanocapsules are pods to encapsulate drugs. Nanocapsules, they will take the drugs and they will be open at the site only. That is nanocapsules. Ensure the drugs are not released more slowly or steadily in the body, right? They are not released everywhere. They will go to the desired place and there will be work. Nanopharmaceuticals are rapidly emerging sub-branch that deals with the drug-loaded nanocarriers or nanomaterials that have unique physiochemical properties and minute size range for penetrating the central nervous system, right? They may enter central nervous system, they may work at very teeny level or nano level, so they may kill those infected cells, or they may work we can say that at very nano level they can work and they can address each and every diseases or each and every those cells which are affected. So that will be more perfection so far as diagnosis or treatment is concerned. Nanopharmaceuticals can be tailored with functional modalities to achieve targeting to brain tissues, right? So every tissues, active targeting the brain tissues, nanopharmaceuticals can also be used there. The magic behind their therapeutic success, it's a huge success so far as nanotechnology is concerned. Its success is huge, is reduced amount of dose and lesser toxicity. See, reduced amount of dose, that means earlier we are consuming more, that will be now it will be exact by nanotechnology, and lesser toxicity, because at present around 7 lakh people are dying because of drug resistance just by consuming various medicines in an appropriate way, in an appropriate percentage. Various people are consuming huge amount of drugs. In that case, that will be reduced. So that will reduce amount of dose and lesser toxicity. thereby localizing therapeutic agent specific site. So in the specific site, exact amount of drugs will be used, and that will not have any side effects, long term side effects in our body. So that is related to application of nanotechnology. Next, health monitoring. Nanotubes and nanoparticles can be used as glucose, carbon dioxide and cholesterol sensors, and in situ monitoring homeostasis, the process by which body maintains metabolic equilibrium. Yes, that can be used to monitor, right, how much carbon dioxide is, how much cholesterol is present in your body, how much whether you are going to suffer from any diseases, is there any development, because whenever we see any particular development in our body, disease development in our body, first it starts at nano level, at very tiny level, which is not being identified by our conventional equipments. So at beginning, if we see that, suppose at nano level we see there is a cancer cell, it has not spreaded. At that time we can use the technology, and we can kill it so that it will not affect other cells. But what happens when it aggravates and becomes big and affects our whole body or a big part of our body, then only we can come to know. So by rather than traditional equipments, in those equipments where nanotechnology is used, we can identify the diseases at its smallest form, and we can apply the medicines according to the need of the severity of the disease. That is the most significant benefit of nanotechnology. Then developing nations' use of nanotechnology is also being explored by the fight against infection diseases such as HIV and TB. So far as HIV and TB is concerned, nanotechnology can be used also in cancers. These three diseases, HIV, TB and cancers, nanotechnology will bring significant achievement. Nanotechnology could also be the basis of delivering an aerosol TB vaccine. In vaccine creation also, nanotechnology can be used. Needle free and therefore not requiring trained personnel to administer the vaccine is stable in room temperature. Important in rural areas that lack renewable cold chain. Yes. So such type of vaccines will be developed that do not require any health professional to use. Any person can use them. That is going to be developed by application of nanotechnology, and these are the advantages of nanotechnology so far as health sector is concerned. And vaccine development. Nanotechnology could herald a new era in the immunization, because there are various diseases even at today which cannot be cured by traditional medicines. So vaccines are important. Vaccines are very important with respect to that, and we need to immunize them, the children or the people. Like COVID-19, we have to develop immunization against COVID-19. Injectable vaccines need to be administered by healthcare professionals who may be scarce in developing countries, particularly in rural areas. Injectable vaccines need to be administered, right? Injectable vaccines that need to be administered by the health professionals. Vaccines also need reliable refrigeration along with delivery chain. Scientists are working on aerosol TB vaccine. That do not require any such specialized storage system. They are also investigating nanotechnology based skin patch against West Nile virus and chikungunya virus. And such type of diseases, they are developing the vaccines against such type of diseases or viruses which cannot be cured by traditional medicines. Okay. Tissue growth and regenerative medicine. Researchers in tissue regenerative medicines aims in developing implants of scaffolds and capable of delivering drugs, growth factors, hormones and tissue repair. So delivering drugs, growth factors, hormones and tissue repair, this can be also done by application. They provide sustained delivery of bioactive molecules and support survival, infiltration, proliferation of cells and tissue engineering. Right, so that can also help in tissue engineering. The expected outcome of such treatment is moderately have to complete tissue replacement and functional recovery. Tissue replacement is basically in case of cancer. If there is any replacement necessary, that can be also done by nanotechnology, because it will kill every germ, right? At present, suppose you are saying that a particular hand sanitizer is killing 99% of the germs, then nanotechnology will kill the 100% of germs. Conclusion: nanotechnology offers ability to build large number of products that are incredibly powerful. Large number of products which are very powerful. Nanomolecules, nanomedicines, nano devices are the early stages for the development. So everything size will be very less, right? So far as nano devices is concerned, the size of every goods will be also less, and it will be very useful. The development process are heavily intertwined with biotechnology and information technology, making the scope very wide. Nanotechnology based products are capable of overcoming the limitations of traditional methods. But major challenges are yet to be prevail over its toxicity, environmental hazards, protection cost, and accessibility to the unreachable far off areas. So these are the issues that need to be addressed. First thing is that over toxicity. What are the implications of application of this nanotechnology? What may be the possible problem by nanotechnology, or environmental hazards? Is there any possible environmental hazard because of nanotechnology, or accessibility to the to every, so that will be balanced accessibility to every section of the society or every developing countries. Okay. Then digital education, that could be a good way. Digital, what is this digital education? A hybrid of physical education. A hybrid of physical and digital education system is good way forward, improve learning outcomes in the country, but enabling infrastructure needs to be put in place for its success. See, divide the questions. First, hybrid and physical digital education system. First, introduce it. Then, good way forward of improving learning outcomes. Improve the learning outcomes. So, showing that this will improve the learning outcomes. The digital system will improve the learning outcomes, show it. But enabling infrastructure to be put in place to be success. Also, infrastructure development is also necessary. These three things will develop the education system. Introduction: COVID pandemic has looked into the way of imparting education that through blended learning. Blended learning means digital education. Digital education means both physical and digital. Both physical plus digital. Physical and plus digital, that is digital learning. Body. What is digital education could be a good way. Why? Right? We will see. It has been most sought in the recent times. Online education is increasing, right? Online education, digital education is increasing. And there is a considerable drop seen in student interest in learning new things, dwindling more than ever, right? There is a drop in student interest because of COVID pandemic. Because physical education has reduced, it is shifted to digital education. So you have to combine them so to create interest. Now this is seconded with the insanely high amount of dropout rates. Dropout rates are also increased in the educational institutions, because dropout is always a problem of India. We do not have problem of enrollment. Huge number of students enroll, but problem is that when they do not success, they drop out after a few years of classes. And this COVID pandemic has facilitated that, because schools remain closed for a long time, and that facilitate these dropouts. This is seconded with insanely high amount of dropouts rate being witnessed by educational institutions worldwide. Worldwide, we have seen high dropout rates. The world is evolving today at a breakneck pace, and so far the demands to survive in it. Digital education is a kind of learning that is not only help the student upskill their soft skill, but also explore different careers. So digital education, it develops skills and also career paths tomorrow. That will improve the career and learning outcomes, and it improves the skills. Then phygital learning, it has the capability to ditch the monotony of regular schooling. Monotony of regular schooling by reforming the education. We need to reform our education because everything has changed. But as far as education is concerned, traditionally our learning system is the same thing. So we have to increase, we have to modify it so that it should not become monotonous. Because for children, this need to be interesting. These need to be interested. Children must be interested to learn, and to create interest, we have to include this digital system along with the physical system. That is phygital education system. It has opportunity to foster lucrative environment that inspires students to take strides of innovation by upskilling and birthing much needed in inquisitiveness them towards the everyday learning. So especially this need to be lucrative environment that will be attractive. Student will become more attractive because digital education along with physical education will be encouraged. Then gamification of learning. Gamification of learning. You must play game along with you will learn, right? Such type of systems need to be developed in education because it is monotonous. It is monotonous. Only by learning, studying is monotonous. That's why gamification of learning is essential. This approach will be helpful to young learners who have short attention. That will natural love for gaming, and that will be more interested. It provides a new age to tedious everyday wearisome learning by motivating students, as it uses video game design and game elements in traditional learning system. So we have to develop video game designs, and we have to increase the learning methods. The outcome: maximize enjoyment and engagement in capturing the interest of learners. Maximize enjoyment. The student must enjoy when they go to school, and this gamification of learning that will create the interest among the students, that will reduce the dropouts, and ultimately the educational outcome will improve. Then what are the challenges? What are the challenges so far as? So far as gamification of learning is concerned, right? What are the challenges? Everywhere you must write the challenges. Majority colleges in rural areas. Latest All India survey of higher education shows that reported 56% of the colleges are located in rural areas and 78% are privately managed. Right? Where obviously if they are in rural areas, that means there is no internet connection. There is problem with internet connection, poor internet penetration. Right? Hardly internet penetration is India is only 45%. We have a digital India schemes that promises to supply broadband to every village areas, but it has not successful of covering all the areas. Only 45% of areas are covered. So there is a problem of poor internet penetration as major. And another issue is that majority of the colleges in rural areas. That means those colleges who are in rural areas, they do not have access to internet connections. Good internet connection, we will say, and affordable internet connection. You cannot say that I will pay 1,000 or 2,000 per month for internet connection. People will not use. Then all-round development hampered. Phygital learning leaves little room for all-round development. All-round development that includes the development of their intelligent quotient, emotional quotient, social quotient, physical quotient, and spiritual quotient. It is says that this digital education, they reduce the other quotient of children's, that reduce their other type of like social quotient, that is socialization or development of spiritual activities or development of physical games, because student will be shifted to digital games. When they go into digital games, their health development, their mental development, their physical development, that do not happens, because it is always lucrative. Digital gaming is always lucrative as compared to physical gaming. So that may be hampered their all-round development. Dropout rates might increase. Blended learning mode assumes that all students who enter the arena of higher education have similar learning styles and they have certain amount of digital literacy to cope with suggested learning and strategies of BL. This is far from true, right? So dropouts in higher learning may increase because everybody is not same. We cannot. So in digital education, there is everybody is will not be capable, same capable. Their capability is not same, and they cannot access those digital education equally, right? Because in offline education, you may ask the teacher directly if they have any problem. But so far digital education is concerned, it will be given equal to everybody. Everybody will be treated equally, and that will be just shown in the digital media. That so that dropouts may increase in higher education. Education in India is driven by teacher-centered approach. Teacher-centered approach. Remember, in India it is teacher-centered approach. Expecting these students to switch or quickly to collaborate in technology-enabled learning will be stressful to them. It is a system. If we change the system, that will create a chaos, right? A new type of system. How they will adjust with that, and what will the outcome, we cannot say. We are taking a risk. There should be gradual development. We can say that if you are going for digital educations, there should be gradual development towards digital educations or digital education. That will be gradual development, not sudden development. That will create a problem for the students. So what need to be done? Equity in access. Everybody should have the access for digital education in all higher education institutions. Right? Equity of technology also. If you don't have a laptop, how you will access the digital education? If you do not have a tablet, how will you get the access of digital education? So there is a problem of equity in access. Then hassle-free access to students. There is also problem of internet. So there should be hassle-free. There should be digital literacy as well. Everybody is not digital literate. Everybody do not have that much of devices, right, in the rural areas. So that will be the problem. Providing on-call support with minimum wait time via call centers, chatbots will help them. So there should be additional methodology by which we can address those problems if any problem arises. Next, digital training for the teachers. Teachers also, they must learn the digital training. Massive digital training programs must be arranged for the teachers so that they can help the students, because if teachers will not know what they will teach the students, that is also digital training for the teachers is essential. Appointment of new teachers. Now even the teacher student ratio needs to be readjusted to implement the online learning more effectively. This may require the appointment of greater number of teachers, right? Greater number of teachers who have digital literacy, they may be appointed so that digital literacy will increase. Then curriculum design, the design of the curriculum should be decentralized and based on a bottom-up approach. Curriculum frameworks need to be developed and encourage the creation of competency-based micro-model courses. Curriculum design, the bottom-up approach means accordingly to various states or various regions, based on the level of the students that need to be encouraged, right? So decentralized means it's for example in a particular area people are not mentally developed. Suppose there is a tribal areas, right? People do not have cognitive capacity. So in those areas we should promote digital learning in vocational educations, right? So curriculum for each area need to be different. So this is the issue. Next we will discuss the previous some objective questions. First, with reference to Indian Renewable Energy Development Agency Limited, IREDA, which of the following statements are correct? It's a public limited company, yes. That is by government, it's a government company. It's a non-banking financial company, NBFC, yes, because that facilitate investment in renewable energy. So both option 1 and 2 are correct. See, these bodies are important. Indian Renewable Energy Development Agency, IREDA, it's a public limited company and also NBFC. Last time they have asked a body regarding your Mudra scheme. The body which is implementing Mudra scheme, they have asked, so it is important. Next, if National Water Mission is properly and completely implemented, how it will impact the country? National Water Mission, if completely implemented, okay. Part of water needs in urban areas will be met through recycling wastewater, yes. It's a part of, if it is not whole. Remember, observe the sentence, part of the water. So obviously, if it is completely implemented, it has a particular target, and that will address the part of the needs. Next, the water requires coastal cities with inadequate alternative sources of water will be met. by adopting appropriate technologies that will allow the use of ocean water. Do water requirement coastal cities? Yes, with inadequate alternative source of water will be met. Okay, in coastal areas, their need will be met by adopting appropriate technology. Okay, this is a normal sentence. This is not a, I mean, we can say radicalized statement, or let's in the next lesson. Next sentence, you will understand. All the rivers of Himalayan region, see, all the rivers of the Himalayan regions will be linked to the rivers of peninsular India. It's a huge expenditure. See this sentence. It is very aggressive, which is almost like impossible. All the rivers will be of Himalayan region will be linked to the rivers of peninsular India. So this is wrong. It's an average statement. That's why it is right. Right. The expenses incurred by farmers for digging bore wells and installing motors and pump sets to draw groundwater will be completely reimbursed by the government. So it's a huge exercise. It needs huge amount of money. That means providing every farmer a pump set and every infrastructure. It will be a huge task for the government. So completely reimbursed. Obviously, it is wrong. Whenever you see such word completely, all these statements are wrong. Average sentences are right. So here 1 and 2 options are right answer. Next. Consider the following statement. 21st February declared by the International Mother Language Day by UNICEF. See this, even if you don't know what is this sentence is wrong, because Mother Language Day, language is related to your culture, and UNICEF works for children. So obviously this is wrong. It is declared by UNESCO. Remember, it is declared by UNESCO. Right. 21st February, it is the International Mother Language Day, but not by UNICEF, but it is UNESCO. Next. So here, if it is UNICEF here, even if you don't know whether it is not possible, because a particular scheme or a particular step will be taken by a particular ministry, right? So far as women health is concerned, that step will not be taken by your Ministry of Energy, right? So we must apply our common sense. Next, the demand that Bangla has to be one of the national languages was raised in the Constituent Assembly of Pakistan. Yes, at that time, East Pakistan, West Pakistan, both are one Pakistan. Later Bangladesh got separated in 1971. So it was raised along with Urdu. Urdu was, some people are raising that Urdu will be the national language, but also Bangla will be the national language. That also raised in the Constituent Assembly of Pakistan, because at that time Bangladesh and Pakistan both are one country. So here option 2 is the only that is right. Question number 4. Consider the following statements. Oceans, which cover 70% of globe, remain a key part of our life. About 95% deep ocean remain unexplored. Yes, 95% of deep ocean remains unexplored, and oceans cover 70% of the globe. It's a common fact, we know all. Next question is, India has 4% of world's fresh water. I have already discussed this fact, these two important facts. So both 1 and 2 options are right. Next. Consider the following statements. The United Nations General Assembly approved a resolution for setting March 15 as an International Day for combat Islamophobia. Right, Islamophobia. Yes, it is right answer. March 15. That is by United Nations General Assembly. The resolution emphasizes the right to freedom of religion and belief and recalls 1981 resolution calling the elimination of all forms of intolerance and discrimination based on religion belief. Here both statements are correct. So today the lectures end here. Like this video, share this video, and subscribe to VANIK-IAS. Encourage us to continue this program. Thank you.